Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. January, it's the last day of the month. Got some cool stuff to talk about real quick. Waiting for a special guest to come on here. There she is. We're
We are
in
both
business.
doctors. Yes, we figured
Yeah.
this out.
Oh man, thank you so much for being here. Third time's a charm, right?
Thank you. I didn't
So,
get nervous at all through that whole what's going on here? Huh. This is
oh yeah,
interesting.
that's why it's important to master your mindset because you never know what's going to happen, so you can just pivot and just keep going.
Right? Quite literally. Like I just had a conversation with Joe. We did another podcast on meditation and its effects as you come off the cushion into real life. And it's like everything changes, everything's impermanent. So too shall this be. Like whatever
Exactly.
happens, happens with Adam right now.
But that's what's so great is every life experience, even if it's just getting on like a Facebook Live, you can use that for growth. Like literally, there's teaching lessons everywhere.
Oh yeah.
It's just, do we have the awareness, the mindset to take that in and use that for us instead of allowing that to happen to us?
That's it. Yeah. Are we going to be yanked around by the situation and the circumstances and the conditions, or can we just be with it as it is? Because the reality of
Exactly.
it is what it is. It's not bad. It's
It
not
is what
good.
it
It's
is.
not terrible. It's not horrible. It just is.
Yep. And that's our present. That's our reality, which is a huge concept that we talk about is the whole idea of presence and using the now as now, because be here and now is such clear advice for that. And I think this ties in with what you and I are about to talk about really well, because today is the last day of January. So, New Year's started off in a bang, 2019's here, but it's crazy. Tomorrow is February
I
already.
know. I know.
That's insane. But we've all created a lot of goals for 2019, and we all started off on a really strong foot. January 1st, new year, new us, everything's going smooth. But what can happen, just like we were just talking about, is bumps come up along the way. Wrenches fall into your plan, even if it's a Facebook Live, right?
Yes.
So what can happen, especially on a new goal, because it's something new that we're getting started with,
Mm-hmm.
is it can derail us from our clear vision on going forward with
Mm-hmm.
that. And like you and Joe talked about, and I talked about on the podcast, is come mid-February, which just is 2 weeks away, 80% of people, at least, who started a new goal down the crapper. Yeah,
Yep.
down the crapper. So I think that's why this is such a great time to talk about this and to offer you guys a giveaway who are listening, something very special that will help you to beat that, not be that 80%, but be that 20%, keep going, and then be that elite 1% in any goal in your life. And that has to do with a really special project. Dr. Kori, I've known for several years. I've been blessed to have her as my mentor, not only with nutrition, but in business, and especially the mind, which is why I asked her to write the mindset chapter in this book, RxU. And like the caption says with this video, I'm a pharmacist and I fill scripts all the time. A lot of us take prescriptions, but of all those medications and things people tell you to do, in my opinion, and Kori, correct me if I'm wrong, the best prescription you can ever fill is yourself. That being self-care, because we all want to give, we all want to help other people, but we're not going to be able to do that if we're not in the right state of mind, if we're not healthy enough to, go from point A to point B, and we don't have that wherewithal about how to serve other people. So I just wanted to set the stage with that and invite Dr. Kori on here to talk about that a little bit more with the mindset.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Adam. I think that without that foundation of just recognizing that we're more than our thoughts and we're more than just this body and we're more than whatever identity that we've kind of established we're more. We're more than
Yes.
that. I had a conversation yesterday with my mindset and motivation coaches. One of them was describing how she has this client who has over 100 pounds to lose, and he's diabetic. And she said this a few times, he's diabetic. And immediately I'm going, wait, he's more than a diabetic, though. And if he's moving into the world and into his goals and with into his aims and intentions with just that like stamped across his chest and across his
Right.
mind. I'm a diabetic. Like everything that he's doing is going to be related to that. But he's so much more than that. He's a grandfather
Yes.
and he's a husband and he has all of these other dreams and aspirations and things that are important to him. And that's what we need to get in touch with. All of the other pieces and parts and that we are as individuals. And it starts here. It starts with having that level of awareness. So my coach was like, oh, I didn't even think about that, Kori. And I'm like, well, he probably hasn't thought about that either. So yeah,
Yes.
she said she spoke with him today and there was like alarm bells going off all over the place. But that's the other piece of it too, Adam, is a lot of times that self-care can't be done as effectively or as thoroughly if we're not involving other people. Like you just
Yes.
said, I have mentors. Yeah, I have coach and mentors for the things that are most important to me as well. So self-care is not all about me, and
Right.
no. We actually need that connection to get new perspectives in order to understand ourselves better.
Exactly. I think that's worded so perfectly. We all want to be impactful and give and serve people,
Mm-hmm.
but just like we started off, you can't do that if the tools aren't sharp, right? And how do we get sharp tools? Well, we look, so the awareness piece that you just talked about, whether that's, how you label yourself and how that internal self-talk is going.
Mm-hmm.
So self-talk leads to self-care. So that's part of being selfless, right?
Yeah, I am part of a
But in order to,
bigger, broader whole. I came from the earth. Like I am made of dirt. Literally, I'm made of the same things as dirt is made of. That's profound to
yes.
me. It removes the ego from the things that I'm doing, and I recognize the common humanity that we're all a part of. Yeah.
Absolutely. From ashes to ashes and dust to dust, as the good book says. But yeah, I mean, that's so important with talking about mentorship. That's kind of what I want to talk about today. And one of the goals that we talk about in the end of this book is 5 tips on how you can follow through on any goal you set, whether that's with business, with nutrition, personal development, anything at all. And one of those keys is having an accountability partner, someone to guide you, a mentor, to help lead you through those tough times. Because guys, let's face it, life ain't all party. Like in my mind it is, but you're gonna have times where in the club, the lights go out, right? You run out of water. It gets too full. So you're gonna have these things that come up in life in your goals. Things don't go as planned. You get fired. You get, you're getting short staffed. Like all these things can happen. Your car gets repossessed. How you react to those and how you use those to serve you instead of letting that define you as a label or as a failure or as, look what's happened to me. Think, wait, this might not be ideal. Why doesn't someone just
I
come
don't
give me a
like this.
Jaguar, right?
You can say that. I
Right.
don't like this. This is crappy.
Exactly. So it's how can we use this situation to serve us? But a lot of times it's easy to help others, but when it comes to ourselves, we get in our own self-talk. And if that is not on the right track to serve us, we're not going to be able to serve others. So that's the immense value of having a mentor, especially in this key time of the year when you've started on your goals, things start to get a little rocky. This is a key time, guys, right now. Right now is a defining moment on what you do, because going forward in your goals, whatever lens that's from, it really makes a lot of impact with what your outcomes are, the choices that you make right now, because things are getting rocky. Your goals, which ones are a priority, and that can really wreak havoc. Then you're going to fall into the path of regret. Then when you look back, like, oh, I gave up on that goal, and then you might go back in that pattern, like, oh, I give up too easy, I'm a failure. Like those can be real labels that are not helpful. How are those serving you? So if we can break that pattern by having a mentor, by helping us work through those things and helping us oftentimes see the things that we can't see ourselves, which Kori has helped me a lot with in my own journey, because we're all on a journey, guys, even the coaches.
Oh yeah.
That's why I wanted to have this Facebook Live and talk about this as a giveaway. because I understand that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
some of you might have went a little bit too hard on the Christmas giving, which is great. Giving is living. And you might be getting those credit card bills like, oh, I can't afford anything. But then it comes to your care. And what happens? We want to serve others, so we put ourselves on the back burner, which in the short term seems okay and makes us feel like we're being selfless.
Mm-hmm.
But in actuality, it's selfish because we're not helping ourselves. And if we don't help ourselves, we can't help other people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I wanted to announce, is a giveaway to help get this book in more people's hands with a free coaching session with myself. So that's what I wanted to give
I
away.
want
How? What's that, Kori?
I want it.
You want it? Yeah.
You guys
So
get on
that's
this.
the question is, yeah, you got to get on it. So how do you get your tickets? How do you get entered? How long is it? So the giveaway, guys, it's short, so you've got to act quickly. The giveaway ends this Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I'm repping the Berg here. We're in like -3 degrees, so I'm holding it down. So you're in Cali. What's the temperature right now?
Like 60?
Man,
I didn't even say that.
They shut down. So on Tuesday, they announced, so a tangent, they announced the weather was going super cold.
Yeah.
They closed all the schools Wednesday and Thursday.
I heard
on
that
Tuesday.
on the news. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm never
So,
complaining again. I won't complain about rain. Nope. Nope.
Yes. It's pretty serious, and it's getting really cold. So we want to take this as an opportunity, just like we're saying. It's getting really cold, but we want to turn the heat up on your goals.
Woo.
So I thought, what better way than give away a free coaching session on your goals, whether that's nutrition, whether that's something that you're working on with your life, with your business.
Okay.
I would love to help you with that. And how you enter, how you get your ticket is simply by getting a copy of this book. It is on Amazon in print and in Audible, so whichever version works best for you and your needs. But the giveaway is, all you have to do is get a copy of this book and comment your picture, like take a snapshot of your photo when you get it in the comments, and that automatically enters you in a drawing. So as long as you order this by Sunday, this Sunday, February, what is that, 3rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as long as you comment below with a picture of your purchase that says, you know, order shipped or something like that from Amazon, you're automatically entered for the drawing. And then after 10 p.m., that is closed, and I will randomly select whoever who is a part of this to get that coaching session. Because guys, it's all about what Kori just said: mentorship, having a partner to help you see things, mapping out a plan. So that's why what Kori and I do are so important and really invaluable that we find with our clients is it's not a cookie cutter approach. We're all in different areas of our life. If you told me to do something that is based on where Kori is in life, I would probably get overwhelmed in 10 seconds. So you really have to meet people. Yeah, it's all contextual. It's all meeting people where they are. And then the second thing is we all have different goals. We all have different wants and needs, whether that's for Kori wanting to do a bicycle race like across the country in half a day or whatever crazy thing. Do you want to talk about what that goal is? Because that just blows my mind when I heard that.
Well, I don't have that goal anymore, and maybe that's an important piece to put out there, is that goals change, guys, based on you know, what you're involved in your lives and what you're coming to learn about yourself and the most important people in your life. And once you go through a process of asking, like, is it worth it? And what am I going to have to sacrifice in order to do this well? You know, in this example, Adam, it turned out that this goal to ride across the country was going to cost me about $30,000. Another goal of mine is to retire by 55. So they weren't matching up. And so I had to ask myself, like, what am I really wanting to get out of that experience? And when it came down to it, I can get those things, those factors, those feelings, that sharedness, connection with whoever I want to do it with, by not doing that race, but by doing something else. But that still allows me to meet my other goal of retiring at 55, saving a certain amount of money each year, blah, 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 right? So yeah, there you go. Goals change, goals shift. And I think we get into trouble when we go into things with these very rigid expectations about how it's going to look, how it's going to be, how it's going to go, what path we're going to take. I could have said, okay, $30,000. I'm not keen on that. It doesn't help me meet my goals in other areas. Well, I
Yep.
still want to do this race across the country. How could I lower the cost of it? What are those options? I didn't want to go through that whole rigmarole of trying to figure that out, though. So
Yeah.
there are often other paths, guys, to that outcome. And that's another way to think about it as well. Rather than giving up, let's look at, is this even the appropriate goal for me? And or are there other paths to achieving that outcome that we're looking at?
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Kori.
Yeah.
I would call that golden advice,
Mm.
because what you just said there and sharing that is there's a lot of lessons that we can pick apart. But one of them that I want to tie to having a mentor and a coach is just like we said. So meeting people where they are. So right now, where is your training? So looking at your goal as an example, where are you training? And then the second one, where are you looking to go? And putting that in the context of time, because that really changes the game.
Yeah.
That makes it realistic, and it also ties in other goals that are in your life, right? So when you sit with someone that has experience in the goal that you're looking to achieve, or they have already achieved the goal that you're looking to set out, you now have the wisdom from that person that has already made the mistakes, already gone through the trials, and know what works because they did it themselves. Then you meet with them, say, here's where I am, here is where I want to go, here is when I want that to happen, and here is other things going on in my life. Because not everyone is a mom, not everyone has 6 kids, not everyone has a business, and not everyone is in college, right? So what are your goals in your life in all areas? Where does this one fit? And then is that realistic without sabotaging, because we hear this a lot, self-sabotage, without sabotaging our other goals? Because it could be that, yes, by doing this goal, you will feel successful in this one goal.
Yep.
But by doing that, you are feeling like a failure in 5 others.
Yeah, absolutely.
So by achieving this or succeeding, it actually makes you feel more like a failure.
Yeah.
So that's really why it's important, guys, because imagine if Kori did this whole thing and she's like, oh, just like she said, black and white, like, oh, I set a goal, like, doesn't matter, I'm going to do it anyway. And she spent $30,000 and all the training and all the sacrifice for networking and everything else. And she did it, but sacrificed everything else and set her retirement back from 55 to now 60 or 65. That's less mojitos.
Nope.
That's no bueno.
No bueno. Nope.
So that's why, because Kori has mentors and she talks with some really phenomenal people like Dr. Joe who help her through this process. So think about how much, not only time, but literally she just saved herself $30,000 in addition to the opportunity cost, because she had someone who was able to see where all her goals are and where she's looking to go, and then realistically give her advice based on that. That's invaluable, literally. And it saved her money, money, money. So I really appreciate you sharing that story, Kori, because that unexpectedly tied in perfectly with what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, I have to say, Joe had no part in this. I don't think he even knew that.
Sorry, Pops.
I don't think he even knew that was a goal of mine, but was not aware of the $30,000 expense that it would have costed me. What it amounted to is talking with my cycling coach and the person that I had planned on riding with on the journey. And it was a little bit easier when we looked at each other and we were like, wait, what? How much?
Did you do a hair flip?
Let me move my hair away from my ears. Say that again. And again, coming back to, what are we doing this for? That is the question that a coach can ask you. Hang on, you've said that you want to lose 55, 10, 100 pounds. Why? What will your life mean when and or if this happens? What's going to change? Because when you ask that question, you get down to the real core values of the person. That's going to make the most difference and create the most meaning and purpose. So we're not discouraging the goal. We're getting to why that goal is wanting to be pursued in the first place, which is the foundation of everything.
Yeah, and that's really, guys, that sounds simple, but that really can save you a lot of heartache and money and everything else. But I'm going to take what you said, Kori, and just extrapolate that
Yeah.
a little bit from something that you taught me a couple years ago. So why are you doing this? But dig a little deeper and ask this question. Are your goals your own?
Yep.
Are your goals your goals? Or are they someone else's that you feel obligated to do? And that question is going to save you a lot of butt hurt if you ask it early instead of later on when the going gets tough, because it will. I will guarantee you, regardless what your goal is, you will face adversity, you will face hardship, you will have times where you feel like you want to give up. But if you have a strong why, if your goal is yours for a valid reason that, just like Kori said, aligns with your core values, that will carry you through. Now, you will have to put in the work. You will have to keep going and suck it up and, put that in.
Not feel easy all the time, guys. And that, if there's one thing to expect and land on over and over and over again, it's like, okay, I knew it was not going to be easy. This is not easy. This is hard. But you can make it a lot freaking harder on yourselves than it needs to be by clinging and grasping and attaching to whatever is in your midst in the here and now, being different. That's when we suffer, guys, is when in the moment, when it's tough, it's painful, it's unpleasant, it's uncomfortable, and we're like, it shouldn't be this way. It should be a different way. This should be easy for me. I've been through such and such and such and such. Like, I shouldn't have to endure this. Like, no, that's where the suffering comes from. It reminds me, Adam, like there are 4 noble truths, they're called in Buddhism. And the first one is life is unsatisfactory. A bunch of unsatisfactoriness. And the second noble truth is we create that for ourselves by clinging and grasping and attaching to this belief that it needs to be different than it is.
Yes.
We don't have to do that, guys. And coming back to what Adam said, by asking ourselves the question, whose goal is this? Who set this goal? Am I doing it because I genuinely feel this drive and desire? And is it an expansive, opening drive and desire? Or is it this collapsing, like contracting, trudging through quicksand desire? I can tell you, Adam, that when I'm on my bike, even if I'm doing these hellacious 4-minute freaking zone 5 power intervals, and I'm like barely able to breathe, it is not a contracting experience. It's like, oh, hell yeah, okay, but it's gonna end, it's almost over, but I love it because I know that I'm growing and getting stronger. It is not easy, not by one iota. And if there's one thing that resonates with me that my coach continues to tell me, he's like, it doesn't get easier, Kori. You just get faster.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's a piece of advice I heard, and this applies to everything, guys. It's not that it gets easier, you just get better. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
And that's any context, working out, business, school. It's not like you graduate and life's all grand. Like you want to get a degree and you graduate and it's like, oh, I'm done. No, now you have more responsibility, but you're able to handle it because of the strength you went through building the skills along the way. Now you're ready for the next step.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have a question here, Adam, and is it okay if I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what if you start out doing something for someone else's goal and it turns into yours too? What do you think?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. That's like, what's the term? It's like you start with their goal to support them, but you didn't have awareness about what that goal was. Maybe you weren't totally, like, you thought it was one thing. So let's take working out, for example. Let's say that you thought that just working out was all about ego and this and that, but your partner has been doing this for a while and they said, like, hey, this is really important to me. Do you want to work out? And you're like, oh, I want to support them, of course. Well, then they start sharing their philosophy behind it and start sharing the benefits that you didn't know about. So then you gain an awareness and you gain that, and now you're you got more information. So I think that's part of what happens is you learn more about that topic. And if you fall in love with it, then it becomes your why. Because all along you wanted to be healthier and you thought working out was just ego-based. But when you work out, you feel like you have a clearer mind. You feel like you're in control of your body.
Mm-hmm.
You're growing and getting stronger. And that's exactly what you want. But you didn't know that lifting weights could do that.
Yeah.
And that's like mind-blowing to you. And that's why talking with mentors, getting out there, networking, learning from other people, being open-minded to other people's beliefs and experiences is so invaluable, because that stuff happens all the time.
That's it.
And that's what's exciting about life.
Yeah. When you said have an open mind, where my mind was going was, this can occur because we're like deliberately adopting a quality of attention called curiosity, where we can jump into something because someone has said this would be really fun, or I really like this, or I'm trying this, would you like to try it with me? And we're curious, we're like, okay, that's cool, I'll do it with you. Whether it's like you said, working out, trying a new way of eating, volunteering at the hospice. Like, you may have had no desire, no inkling to do any one of those things, but because someone was like, maybe you should think about this, maybe it's adopting a meditation practice, you try it with a quality of curiosity and open-mindedness, and this kind of attitude of, maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. I'm gonna go into it with a let's see what happens kind of an attitude, and then you find, like Adam said, that it really resonates with you in some way, and it touches on one of your core values and something that's really important to you, and maybe you start seeing the positive benefits emanating in other areas of your life.
Yes. So I think having that awareness of that mindset, like Kori said, with framing the internal talk you have and doing that curiosity approach with life, is going to really give you so much more value. Because if you look at life like, we're wired as humans to look at it as a threat response mentality, because back in the day, like back, it was saber-toothed tiger, woolly mammoth, like we got to look out for danger. So we're on the look for survival. But it's not the same time right now. So that's what we're wired to do, is look at where's the threat, where's the problem, but you ignore all the good stuff. That's what we're wired to do. So if you don't have that awareness, if you don't change your mindset to seek that out, your mind, your day is going to be filled with, where's the danger, what's wrong, what's going on, like where have I failed? That kind of life, your life is determined by the questions you ask and the thought process that you have. So if you live in that,
we start to create an identity out of that, like
yes,
out of always having problems and everything being wrong. And
what kind of life is that?
That's a contracted life. When I talk about, does this thought, does this action, does this way of thinking or being, does this practice expand or contract me? When we talk about contraction, that there's a threat. There's typically we're perceiving something as a threat when we become contracted around it, and that can happen with a lot of unpleasant emotion. We contract around it, and then we automatically go to, I need to feel better, get me out of this. And that's when we end up drinking or emotionally eating, or, I was going to say adopting goals that aren't in our service or favor, but they're not necessarily goals. And I don't look at them as self-sabotage either, but we end up sabotaging what is actually best for us.
Absolutely. So that's if you go through life without that awareness of consciously being conscious of your thoughts. But if you do the opposite and look at, how is this serving me? What am I going to learn from this? This situation might suck. That might be our instant reaction.
Yeah.
But because it sucks, we're going to have to deal with some issues, whether that's emotional or whatever else is involved. You're going to get stronger from that. How can you grow from this experience so that you can then take those skills you've just developed and apply that to another situation or future opportunity and show up at a much higher level so that you are well equipped to handle it like a boss?
Like a boss!
What kind of life would that be like?
Wait, caveat though, like, handling it like a boss does not necessarily mean that it's easy or that it just like flows. No, no, but you are more skillful. That's,
Yes,
you are more skillful with it. You are more responsive as opposed to reactive.
exactly. That ties to, so you're bringing up a lot of like awesome life lessons that I've learned in the past few years, a lot of them from you. So maybe that's why. um, but what I have seen a lot, and I used to think as well, is, you know, if I want a great life, if I want to rock my goals, there's got to be some secret sauce. There's got to be a magic formula, like that's really complicated that only the really successful people know, and they keep it secret. So I need to know. I need to like do all this stuff and figure it out and crack the code. Well, it's not that it's complicated, it's that it's simple. But simple does not mean easy. So that's really the secret sauce, is you don't have to overthink and overcomplicate things. Trust me, life's complicated enough. But if you simplify it, the situation, where you're at, what you're dealing with, simplify it, be present, that will allow you to put in the work and deal with it. That's not going to be easy, but it is simple. So that's just one big concept in small words that really impacted my life personally.
Awesome, Adam. Yeah, and I see in that this element of, okay, it's goals, and I'm going to meet my goals, and I'm super passionate about my goals, like get them. There's this element of control, right? Like when you hear the word like crush it or driven or
like this,
like that. Yes. What are these other words that are out there in the spirit?
No sleep, 100%
Hustle.
hustle your face off.
Yes. So there's this element of like, that's again contraction, like it's super tight and forceful, rather than, I mean, at least in my experience and a ton of people that I work with and talk to, it feels exhausting. And it's not enlivening, it's not energetic, it's like punch the crap out of whatever you're trying to work towards, rather than opening up and loosening your grip a little bit and stop white-knuckling your way through everything. And it's amazing what happens when you let go a little bit. Things flow a little more effectively. And
so
go ahead.
that's really good advice, and I bet people would agree with you. But their next question would be, sounds great, but how do I let go? Mm-hmm. How do I get more present? How do I get started on this process?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it takes practice. It's not an automatic thing, but the first step, I would say, Adam, would be to recognize when you've got that death grip. Your body tells you. Like everyone on here, it has experienced discomfort, right? Has experienced a sense of stress or overwhelm. And okay, I have never asked a single person that question and they've been like, no, I've never experienced that before. What's that? Like, this doesn't exist. Now, the question they do have difficulty answering sometimes is, okay, how do you know? Well, I just do. Like I just can't focus, or I feel really scattered, or I can't think straight, or okay, awesome. That's all very up here and cerebral. Mm-hmm. What about below the neck? Like anything that happens when you feel stressed or anxious or overwhelmed? Yeah. Like, see, I just took a deep breath because that's my default now.
Yep, exactly.
I feel a tight chest. I feel like my palms get sweaty, and
tight traps.
Yeah, my shoulders end up right around my ears, and like there's stomach maybe feels tight or a little bit queasy. Okay, so if we begin to pay attention and develop our awareness around the signals and cues that our bodies can give us that we're moving into that state, now there's opportunity. Now there's a space where we can respond differently, more effectively, more skillfully. So
Absolutely.
that's step one of how.
And guys, a great resource for literal tips and questions outlining where to get started is actually right in this book. Dr. Kori wrote the mindset section. Master your mindset as what the mind believes the body achieves. And she goes through in detail outlining what those simple steps are so that you can get that momentum started, so that you can start looking at the exact examples with types of questions that you can ask to build this awareness muscle. Because like she said, it is something you need to practice. But that might be your next question is, okay, I get that. Where do I start? Again, simple is not easy, but once you make it simple, that will at least get the frustration, the confusion away, so you know where to start. Because if you don't know where the starting line is, you don't know where you're going to, you don't know what's going to happen. So if you have a start, right? If you have a starting point and you have a guide, each building off the other, that can really put you in a place so that you can build that muscle from the practice, from the work that you put in. Because again, simple does not mean easy. It's going to require some effort. And that's why Dr. Kori is the person that I like when I thought of, okay, I need a mindset chapter. I could do this, but I'm going to have the expert do it. So that's why I'm really grateful that Dr. Kori contributed in this and is such an awesome resource for you to get that process started on just totally shaping your mindset to empower you and asking the question, how is this serving me? How is this happening for me instead of to me? And when you focus and go into life with that mindset, that's going to change the game.
Well, I think it puts your mind and it puts your body, it puts you in a position to move through the world more fluidly instead of feeling like you're always bumping up against brick walls and banging your head. You know, the second piece of how to get started. So first we have this, oh, my body tells me things. My body has symptoms, cues, signals, sensations, guys, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Just to start to be aware of all of those three things. But the second thing is, you know what? Sit down for 2 minutes today with one single goal. Just watch your mind. What is it saying? The goal is not to believe the thoughts you have. The goal is just to notice. Like, where is it going? What are you driven towards? Do you have the tendency to think about a lot? Does it go to your relationship? Does it go to food all the time? What tone do the thoughts have? Like, are they blasting you? Are they super negative? Are they compassionate? Are they joyful? Are they grateful? Just be curious. Again, it comes down to curiosity. Just sit for 2 minutes, breathe normally, watch what happens, and just be like, huh. You may notice the thought, this is really stupid, Kori. Just notice that. You don't have to believe it. I'm encouraging you not to believe it. But yeah, that's how I would start. Just notice.
Exactly. And again, you might think like, that's too simple. That doesn't work. Well, let me give you guys a parallel example because I love analogies. How many of you make money or have money? Everybody, right? Do you just like let it sit there and spend it or whatever? No, you probably keep track of it. You probably have bills. You probably have loans. You probably have expenses, right? So how do you know what's coming in, what's coming out? You keep track of it. You have awareness of it. Because when you are able to measure something, you can then manage it. If you're not taking enough in and you're going into debt, you can make some changes so that you're in the green. If you're having a lot in, if you're making a lot more income, or let's say you get like a birthday check or something, mine's coming up, guys, a couple months. But when you have that, you can say, hey, I have extra income. So then because you're aware, because you're measuring that, you can say, hey, I have some extra to buy this special thing or invest it or whatever. Just like your thoughts. If you're not managing and taking ownership of what's going on up here, you're not going to know what the outcome is going to be. whether you're going to be in debt, whether you're going to have money to buy stuff, just like mentally, whether you're going to be able to mentally invest in a situation, in a relationship, in a business, right? So if you have that mental management, which starts with what Kori's saying, of taking stock, having that awareness, that will allow you to create mental abundance and wealth. And that's what we're trying to do, chucking.
Awesome. Yeah. I would just, when you sit down and do those 2 minutes, guys, there's no management. We're starting at the ground level. Awareness is not management or judgment or this needs to change. It's just observational and noticing. Difference with money is that it's got a valence. Money comes in and you're automatically thinking, where should this go? What should I do with it? How should I be responsible with it? What I'm asking you to do is do nothing but notice. No judgment.
Yes.
That's the practice. And then that is what creates awareness. Like, oh, I had that thought, and then I had that thought, and then that one came in, and that one came in really fast. That one came in slow. You notice there's no judgment there. It's just noticing.
Yes, exactly. And we want to create that abundant, that positive lifestyle, that motivation, right? But you can't do that until you know what's going on. You can't change your perception or anything else at all if you don't have this first. So what Kori said is so simple, but it's so impactful.
Yeah.
You've heard of meditation, mindfulness. That's literally all it is. Just notice. So it's not judging and saying like, oh, I have a project, I have to do work. Oh no, I can't think about that now. No, it's not judging them. It's just, okay, I have a thought. It's just a thought. If you give it a label, so coming back to what we said, he's a diabetic, that changes the whole dynamic of your thought. What does that mean to you? What other things are associated with it? We're not going there. We're just, okay, that thought's there. It's a thought, period. What goes next is totally up to you. And when you realize that and take ownership of that, it's amazing. Like you now have personal power on how you dictate your life because you control what stays here. Things can come and go, right? But how you shape that, that can determine exactly what Kori said, your identity with how you think things.
Yeah, what do you do with what comes up in there? And that's not me saying you have to do anything with it. That's the whole point. Just noting that it's there, not responding in any way except, interesting. And then the other part of that is, what am I filling my mind with? What am I paying attention to? So if we don't have awareness and we haven't even asked ourselves that question, what am I paying attention to? You know, we're likely taking in and consuming, you know, we consume food, but we also consume a lot of information and thoughts and ideas and beliefs and attitudes from others and the world. And we may be operating with those going on in the background, but aren't even aware of it.
Your mental diet. So it's not just your food diet, but what's your mental diet? And if that's the first time you've heard that, think about that for a minute. Your mental diet, what's going on in here? Because that's what diet is, it's intake, right? What does your lifestyle look like? So what are you allowing in here? What are you keeping in there?
There are so many, there are infinite inputs. I'll say that.
Yeah.
There's so much going on in the world and in social media. And I mean, we are constantly being bombarded. And so to be careful about what we are looking at and what we're reading and how we're consuming information is really important.
Absolutely. Well said. So guys, I want to say a quick thank you to Dr. Kori for her time, for being on here and sharing all of this. If you guys like this content, believe it or not, Dr. Kori does a daily podcast Monday through Friday with Dr. Joe, the Diet Doc Lifestyle Mastery podcast. So if you want more of this, definitely check that out. It's all over the platforms. What do you got? SoundCloud, iTunes, where else? Spotify,
YouTube.
everywhere.
It's on the website,
YouTube.
thedietdoc.com. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
If you want to go deeper, Kori offers coaching. If you want to get started with where to master your mindset, she wrote a chapter right here to give you the exact tools on how to get started with that. Asking the questions again, how do I start? What are the simple starting points? What are the things I should be looking for? How do I spend my 2 minutes, my 5 minutes of mental awareness to really create an environment that serves me instead of making me feel overwhelmed, obligated, going after things that aren't my own goals?
Yeah.
Those are important things to ask, and Kori guides you through that process right here. Again, this is a giveaway. If you buy this book before Sunday, so today is the last day of January, January 31st, it is on Amazon. I'll have a link down below. All you have to do is get a copy of this, whether it's in print or on Kindle, okay? And all you have to do is take a picture of your purchase, put it in the comments, and you are automatically entered for a free coaching session. So you can take what you learn here, what you learn from the podcast, what you learn from the book and what Kori writes, and then build from that with a coaching session.
Awesome.
For free.
Awesome.
So that's my challenge. I really appreciate you, Dr. Kori, and sharing everything. I always learn a ton. I've been like taking a lot of mental notes in this, so I got a ton of value. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Take care.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Dr. Adam Martin signing off with Dr. Kori Propst. Go forth, be great, and dispense your full potential. And it starts by filling the best prescription there is, you. Thanks, guys.